Okay, another story with an important update here for you. Our friends over at the Lincoln Project, you may have thought that the project was dead, that the dream was dead, but in fact, Saagar, the dream is still alive. We covered, I really think we were some of the first to cover over at Rising, the scandal involving John Weaver and his attempt to groom all of these young men, some of them dramatically under the age, promising jobs and political favors and all this sort of stuff. Yep. Well documented. Okay, so massive scandal. The media ignored for forever. Everybody else at the Lincoln Project, you know, there was a lot of email traffic revealed that they sure seemed to know what was going on for a long time before they ever acknowledged it, before they ever got John Weaver out of that organization. Well, they are back to some significant fundraising receipts. Let's throw this tweet up on the screen from Rob Pyers, who followed this closely. So their FEC report shows that they have gotten $5 million in over the past quarter. That is quite a significant amount. 4.8 million. They did have massive operating expenses and legal bills. Interesting, not surprising there. So if you're giving to the Lincoln Project at this point, you're basically just paying their legal bills. They spent $1.3 million on non-political media buys. That's like PR essentially for themselves. Spent $1.1 million on their streaming services, whatever that is, and paid over $964,000 on their legal fees, $610,000 on communication consulting, again, PR essentially. Outside of that, the biggest recipient of Lincoln Project cash was Impartial Partners. That is an anonymously registered Albany, New York LLC that formed in May. That is, Rob puts it, probably definitely not a vehicle for someone wishing to accumulate generational wealth. That's the thing with them too, is like if you look down the list, it's not just the money that's going to their founders in terms of direct payments and salary. There's also this whole slew of consulting firms that they're paying that are also often affiliated with these same dudes.
Exactly, owned by them. Yeah. From the beginning, it's been an insular project in order to enrich themselves. Reed Gallen, one of the members there, $410K. Ron Steslow, $324K. Ben Howe, $250K. $173K to Nate Nesbitt, all the way down the line to Steve Schmidt. We had that whole thread, you know, animated there just so you could see exactly what was happening.
They paid a lot of money. Let me just add this one note. Also to Tara Setmeyer, remember her? She's the one that made that, she was the head of Acronym that made the Shadow app that was so successful in Iowa. So I can see why they'd be paying her big bucks at this point.
Only
She's
in America
really effective there.
Only here do you get to fail all the way up to the very top and make millions of dollars doing it. They point out also that...
I guess she was successful, though, if their goal was to, you know, and pumping up Pete Buttigieg, who now is Mr. Secretary of Transportation.
And Glenn Greenwald points out, Rick Wilson, you guys might remember him, of the Lincoln Project. Well, GoFundMe just deleted his 2018 GoFundMe campaign where he raised all of this money for a film that he never made since 2018. They quietly deleted the page. They ignored questions. Why are we pointing any of this out? It's not just a dunk. It's that there are a lot of well-meaning people who did not like Trump and who gave the Lincoln Project money because they felt like the Lincoln Project was fighting back against him. Then Trump lost. And then they had to figure out how they were going to keep going forward. They're like, our mission is to destroy the Republican Party. And I'm like, you know, something tells me this isn't about Never Trumpers taking down Trump. This is something else. So they reinvented this whole new cause about why they need to survive, stamping out Trumpism. And they're raising millions of dollars off of maybe misguided but well-meaning people who want to, you know, make a political difference and feel that this group is doing something. And our goal in all of this has just been to show you, look, they're taking your money, giving it to themselves, spending it on their legal bills, and basically, as Reed put it, taking everything down, grabbing everything that isn't nailed down on the way out. And it's just like the Trump PAC. So don't let anybody say that we're just targeting them. Last week, we covered the Trump PAC and how raised all this money on Stop the Steal, hasn't spent a dime of it challenging any election results, audits, is letting well-meaning people, fund it, themselves, or give him money to basically do whatever the hell he wants. This is a bipartisan issue. But the part of the problem that we have is the Washington Post will write a whole story about the Trump PAC. And look, of course, he is the former president, all of that. But this was an enormously influential, in elite media circles, essentially Democratic PAC, which has enriched these people to the tune of millions of dollars. And, the Free Beacon put this particularly well, put this tear sheet up there. Lincoln Project co-founder John Weaver paid off his $1.4 million mortgage 27 years ahead of schedule. 27 years ahead of schedule. Must be really nice, right? In order to just pay off your house so quickly. That's a dream of a lot of Americans. We just covered the fact that the eviction moratorium. And this is the man who was allegedly, for Mr. Weaver's lawyers, out there grooming men as young as like 15 years old. That our friend Ryan
allegedly, didn't he admit to some of this stuff?
He admitted to some of it. I think he denies them. Look, I'm just covering the bases,
anyway.
Yeah, it's like, but our friend Ryan Gerdusky revealed this entire grooming campaign, which was then revealed in the New York Times and more. And you can just see how all of this, it continues to perpetuate. Even now Trump is gone. Trump himself continues to get it. But the whole point of Trump's grifting is that there became an entire cottage industry of other grifters grifting off of the desire to end his grift. So it's like, where do you turn for any hopeful story here?
Well,
I don't really know what to say.
By the way, if you're a leftist like me, these guys are a particular problem because, they're the ones who really pushed, Joe Biden. They're the ones most aggressively out there on MSNBC saying, oh, the left of the party is terrible and they're the reason for anything bad that ever happens. Bill Krystal, who's not a Lincoln Project guy, but he's sort of like Lincoln Project adjacent. Similar ilk, right, of Never Trump, is out there right now pushing Shontel Brown over Nina Turner, which I'm about to talk about. So it's not consequence free. As you said, all these people who really genuinely, believed in these guys and thought they were going to help get Trump out of office, gave a lot of money to them, put a lot of hope in them. And that's the thing too is, you might be able to say something if at least their ads were effective, but
they didn't. Yeah.
We know from the data that they were the worst ads that were out there in terms of actually persuading people. It was another this was a real, innovation in terms of grift. We're going to make ads that aren't actually about persuasion, aren't actually about winning the election. They're about catering to this base that is already 1,000,000% with us and making them feel good. That's what these ads are going to be about. That's what they did. That's what they made millions of dollars. I think they raised $100 million in the last cycle, okay? Millions and millions of dollars made all these guys rich. And then after the election was over, they also turned around, and I guess that's what the streaming services thing are. They were like, we're going to become a media
they
giant.
Want to become a podcasting
so
company,
it's not enough
America.
that they already have these platforms on MSNBC in particular, but also CNN, now, and are making all this kind of money with their books and all that stuff. Now we're going to we want to have our own media platform so we can further our influence. And I guess they're in the project of rebuilding themselves to the point where that might be a possibility.
Yeah, it really is just disgraceful. And it just shows you how so much of politics ends up becoming a grift and having such pernicious impacts on so many well-meaning people out there.
That's right.
Who think one way or the other, and then here in DC, getting rich, paying for their second house, paying for their boats, whatever.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching.
That's right. Just as a reminder, you can become a premium subscriber today. Watch the full show completely uncut, our reactions to each other's monologues. You get to listen to it. You get to ask us questions, all that good stuff. Link is right there in the description or at breakingpoints.com.
Best of all, great way to say screw you to the mainstream media.